What's up, everybody? It's Ixalan-RNA, and welcome back to more Momir's Madness here on the channel. Momir is finally back on Magic Arena, and I'm incredibly excited, as it is easily one of my favorite formats. I absolutely love random chaos, and Momir is the embodiment of that. So for those who don't know how this works, each player is going to have a deck of 60 basic lands, 12 of each, and that's all they have. However, each player can spend X mana of any color and discard a card to get a random creature card of converted mana cost X. So if I had spent 1 mana into Momir and discarded a card there, I would have got a random 1 mana creature. Now the reason I didn't choose to do that is because I'm not a major fan of most of the 1 mana creatures. They are better than usual in Momir, because on Magic Online, which is standard, which is traditional Momir, you have creatures from the entire history of the game. In Magic Arena, you have creatures from just standard, so the 1-drops are a little better than usual. But in Momir, the classic strategy is usually to just skip 1-drops, because they're usually not going to be super effective late in the game. My opponent did get a really good 1-mana creature, though. They got a nice little flyer. Flying is a very important ability in Momir, because the only thing both players are doing is playing a bunch of creatures. Finding ways to get around a giant field of blockers is usually going to be the main goal of the game. Like, you're just going to try to get evasive creatures like flyers and unblockable creatures, and just ping your opponent with that kind of stuff. So, anyways, not much to say this game. It's pretty even so far. Opponent got a 1/1 flyer, but I got a 2/1 first striker, so I have a pretty good attacker as well until they get something with 3 toughness. Jungleborn Pioneers are really good card for them to get. That's 2 blockers and 1 card, so that's pretty impressive. A 3/2 at 3 mana is not really what you want, because anything that they got for 2 mana, the vast majority of 2 mana cards are going to have 2 power, so this card just really does not attack or block well at all. I'm going to play an island here. In general, when you're playing your lands, I would prioritize mountains first, because any creatures that you get with red abilities are probably going to have pretty good abilities. I think I'm just going to save my blockers here now. But yeah, I would definitely play mountains first. Red abilities are great. Abilities like the ability on Kazarov. He has an ability that is 1 red and 3 to do 2 to a creature. There's the ability on Zakama. That's 1 red and 2 colorless to do 3 damage to target creature. So yeah, red abilities are usually pretty good. So that's definitely the most important color. After that, I would kind of just play 1 of everything. There are some blue creatures that you could pay like a blue and 3 mana to give one of your creatures unblockable till end of turn. So blue has some good abilities. Green has some abilities. Like you could spend a green and 1 to make a mana of any color, for if you get good abilities later. White has abilities to give their creatures plus a little bit of power and lifelink, stuff like that. And black has abilities like on Dreadshade, where you can spend a black to give your creature +1/+1 till end of turn. So yeah, all the other colors I would say are pretty even on how good their abilities could be, but red for sure has very good abilities. Alright, so my opponent's got a lot of misses recently. Just a bunch of little ground dudes. Whereas I got a 4-mana flyer into a 5-mana flyer, so I've got a really good position right now. Especially after this attack. This is an aggressive attack from our opponent. We just get to trade off 1 creature, take a damage, and just eats their other creatures. Alright, so this is an important mana cost to mention here, 6 mana. At 6 mana, you have about a 1 point something % chance of hitting Demon Lord Belzenlok. And if you hit Demon Lord Belzenlok, he will exile your entire deck. So you will just lose the next turn. So, if you're in a very commanding lead, like I believe I am, I would just not play a 6-drop. You have to be in a really, really good lead to want to do that, because it's such a low chance of hitting Demon Lord, and most 6-mana cards are so good, but I feel like I'm in a strong enough lead here that I don't want to leave that small percentage in there to give me that instant loss. I just don't even want to take that chance, as slim as it is. So, opponent's going to have to get pretty lucky here to take back my luckiness, and it looks like that's going to end the game there. I have 10 power in the air. I cannot do math. So that will be the game. So, round 1 victory for us here. And that's kind of how Momir goes. A lot of it is pretty luck-based. I just got a lot more flyers than my opponent there, so that is definitely what won me the game. But there is that little bit of strategy like we had in that game of just knowing the little intricacies of stuff like, well, technically if I went for a 6-mana card instead of a 5-mana card that turn, I would open myself up to that very small % chance of immediately losing. So I just went ahead and didn't do that. I'm going to start with the Swamp here. I'm going to skip 1-drops. I don't think that playing or not playing 1-mana creatures in this format is, like, objectively the best. I think it's up to personal opinion. It is pretty random, and some of the 1-mana cards are actually pretty good. Like, just getting a 1-mana 1/1 flyer is good. Definitely the best one you could get, the one that you would be very, very happy to hit, would be if you hit a Llanowar Elf at 1 mana. That is the god draw, because that'll skip you right up to higher mana costs. Any kind of mana dorks are very good cards to get in Momir early in the game. This Opek Huntmaster isn't that exciting, but it does have 2 toughness against their 1/1, so at least shuts them off from attacking with that. And also, if we randomly get a dinosaur late game, it'll be important to remember that he can randomly just give it haste. Opponent gets a 2/2 Death Touch on turn 2. That's pretty good. That'll trade off with whatever kind of really threatening ground creatures we have later in the game. That is if my opponent chooses not to trade that off early. So I'm just going to keep playing out, I think, just equal amounts of swamps and forests here, unless I see a specific thing. That was a really good 3-drop. Any of the creatures with Explore are pretty nice. Whenever you hit something with an Explorer, just whenever you draw a card in this format, it basically allows you to get to 1 higher mana cost at the end game. So if you play a land and discard a card every turn, because that would be playing 2 cards a turn, because you're playing 1, discarding 1, you're going to run out eventually, so you're going to hit a peak mana cost somewhere around 7 or 8 mana. But if you draw more cards, you get to make it to higher mana costs, which really the highest mana cost you really need to care about would be 9 mana, because at 9 mana you have a 33% chance of hitting Zakama, which is insane. But, like, there technically are some cards at higher mana costs. If you make it to 10 mana, ooh, that's actually a pretty good 4-drop. That's going to be a 5/5. Anyways, as I was saying, if you make it to 10 mana, you can play Impervious Great Worm, I think, which is just a giant indestructible creature. It's usually almost always better to just go for 9 mana cards and try and hit Zakama, but Great Worm's cute. And that is also at a really high mana cost. And then I think Galta is at like 12 mana. But I don't think there are any 11 mana cards or anything at 13 or more mana. So if you ever get to that high of a mana cost, never try to tap all your mana into it or you'll get nothing. Okay. So Civic Stalwart was a pretty good draw here. It lets them get in for a nice attack. I could do that, and I can kill that off with only trading 1 creature for it, but I do want to get rid of that Death Toucher. I think I want to just get rid of that Death Toucher early in the game. Here we're just going to block like this. They can have the Menace creature. And we're hoping to block their Menace creature next turn with whatever we play here, alongside the Huntmaster. Let's actually discard a Swamp here. We've got 2 swamps. Alright, a 4/5 is a very nice blocker. See what our opponent's got here. Opponent on the mono red-black. Opponent's definitely a classic Momir player. That is definitely the mana base you would do in a classic Momir. I don't think it's best for standard Momir, though. I don't think black mana is really that important at all. Okay. Let's just get that Menace out of here right now. Lose our 1-2. And we are going to go for a 6-mana card here because I am really not in the lead. I'm not in a position where I feel like I have a demanding lead, so that's really the only question of whether or not I will play a 6-drop. And as I am not in a demanding lead, they choose to kill the 1-2. Interesting. I guess they're scared of me hitting a 6-mana dinosaur, like a Colossal Dreadmaw or something. But even if I do, I'm not attacking. I'm down to 13 here. Definitely an interesting choice. And we hit a Rumbling Ruin, so we just hit a 6-6. That would be pretty good, but my opponent hit a 6-5 for 5 mana, so it's not that impressive, because it's going to have to just trade for that. My only other option would be to take 6 damage, which is pretty risky being down to 13 life here. Opponent gets a Tetsamok, so they have a 6-6 Death Touch. Ooh, so that kind of sucks. I definitely really want to hit something with at least 6 power for my 7-mana card, which I think statistically should be pretty likely. Don't know why they're going for the all-out attack here. I do disagree with some of my opponent's combat choices here. And that is another thing to mention, for everybody who says that Momir is entirely luck. There are situations, like, you also just have to be good at knowing, like, when to attack and when not to attack. Like, I feel like some of my opponent's attacks this game have been a little bit loose. Like, just losing the 3-3 for basically no reason, in my opinion. You're just losing out on another creature that could help you double block something big later, at the very least. The Lot-Lithe Giant Mirror Match. If they attack with Tetsamok, I am definitely blocking. If they don't attack with Tetsamok, that's not super cool, because then if I get like a 9-9, like an Ancient Brontodon, the 8-mana 9-9 that doesn't do anything, it won't be nearly as impressive, because they can just trade off for their Death Touch creature. So, as you can see, this is what I was talking about earlier, where you will run out of cards eventually, so because I hit that Jade Light Ranger, I'm not going to run out of cards until I'm at 9 mana, whereas my opponent has run out at 7. So they have to keep playing 7 drops, but I can play 8 and 9 mana drops, which could potentially be stronger cards. So that could give me a bit of an advantage here. I do think 8 mana cards are pretty hit or miss. A lot of them are just like a large body, like Ancient Brontodon and Gate Colossus and stuff like that. But you also have the potential to hit stuff like Verdant Force that'll give you 1/1 Saproling every turn. So I think 8 mana is pretty good. Especially on this board where all they have is 6-5. So even the misses, the quote-unquote misses at 8 mana are fine because they're pretty big creatures. So now I have to choose if I want to go for an 8-drop or a 9-drop. 9-drop is very hit or miss. There are 3 cards. You can hit a 7-5 Hexproof, a 6-6 that gets a land from your grave, or a Zakama. I think Zakama or the 6-6 that hits a land in my grave are both exciting cards to hit right now, so I'm going to actually just go for a 9 mana, and just don't want the... I just didn't want the 7-5 Hexproof there, and it looks like I didn't get it. I got Zakama, so that should probably be game. I did only get the 1 mountain all game, though, so that's a bit of a problem. Zakama's most powerful ability is easily the 3 damage to target creature. However, I can at least gain 6 life a turn and do 3 damage to 1 creature, but the 3 damage is really not that much if I can only do it 1 time. Because they're just making 8 mana cards now, that's not going to be able to kill anything by itself. I'm just going to use the bonus damage to ping something off in the end. Excuse me. Hopefully draw a mountain. That's not a mountain. How valuable is that life gain? It is decently valuable here. Let's see. 3 mana for that. I have 9 mana, so I can do double life gain and 1 ping. I'm going to go ahead and send in the 8/8. And I guess I'll also send in the 4/5, because I can have the 4/5 trade if they block with something. I'm not going to send in Zacama, though. Actually, no, I should send in Zacama, because the only way they can kill it is if they double block. And if they double block, they're dead, because they take 12. So I think, yeah, this is just an all-out attack here. And we'll see what happens. They don't even have the option of killing Zacama, because they're at that low of a life total. So they're going to block there. That way they will take... They'll take 2 trample damage. If I just shoot that creature, they will take 3 more trample damage, and that'll be the game. Because of the way trample works. So I only had to do 4 damage to that creature, which means the final 5 damage from Zacama got to hit their face, so that's 13 damage with Zacama plus the Gate Colossus there. So I think the only block they could have made to survive would have been just blocking the 4/5 and the Gate Colossus, just chumping the Gate Colossus. But there's not a lot of cards they could have got there to get out of that game. I think just hitting Zacama as our very first 9-mana card kind of just solidified the win there. And Jade Light Ranger is what let us get there. So, thank you, Jade Light Ranger, for that win. I like my opponent's username? Heck no. Alright. Let's see how this game goes. See who's at the advantage here. I think I'm just gonna not play any 1-mana cards at all during this first event here. But if any of you really like 1-mana cards and you think there's a really good argument for doing so, let me know. I personally don't care too much either way. I think it's pretty 50-50. I'm just so used to skipping 1-mana cards from playing regular Momir back on Magic Online that it's kind of hard to get rid of that habit and try to actually start playing stuff immediately. So let's see what we get at 2 mana. 2/1 Menace, that's not bad. If they get something with like 1 toughness here, that's a fine card, but if they get something with 2 toughness, this Trailblazer's probably not going to do much, because it just dies to their 1/1. Nice! Alright, I was going to say, if they got something with 1 toughness there, we would be able to attack and trade for both their creatures. But my opponents probably wouldn't ever take that kind of block, so I might as well... I'm going to go for my, my 3-mana card here. And... see what it is, and I'll choose whether to attack based on what it is. Wow, I will definitely attack there. Tajik is a very, very good hit there. Haste and Mentor, which perfectly puts that counter right onto the Trailblazer, make him larger. Tajik is just going to trade off with their creature, but I think just letting me put that counter on the Trailblazer was a fine little bonus there. Opponent gets a 2/3 Ranging Raptors. So if I attack with the Trailblazer next turn... If they don't attack with the 1/1... Alright. They do attack with the 1/1, so I think... I'm probably just going to straight up attack with the Trailblazer here, but I'm going to play my card first, see if that changes anything. Discard a Plains, maybe? I'll discard a Swamp. I don't remember any double black stuff. Brawl Bash Ogre, another Menace creature. I guess we're just in there for Menace. We're just in there with the creatures that have to be blocked by multiple creatures. This card does seem pretty good in Momir as well. It's not particularly good this game, but I definitely have played a lot of games where one of my earlier creatures, maybe something I got for 2 or 3 mana, just ends up being really inconsequential later in the game once there's a bunch of 6/6s and stuff on the board, and this could give you a little bit of value out of that, maybe get a little more damage in via your Menace. This is another attack I'm really not sure about. They just wanted to get in there with the 1/1. I guess maybe they thought the Brawl Bash Ogre couldn't block. That is a pretty black-red ability on those aggressive cards. Alright, so we got a raid creature, which is a little awkward. It is definitely always better to get those after attacking. If I attack with both my creatures here, I can definitely get 3 damage to them. They can only double block 1/3, so that would be 3 damage to them, and I get to kill their 3/3. That seems fine. I am not going to sacrifice a creature here. I think a 4/4 is definitely worth keeping on the board when all they have is 3 power stuff at most. Alright, so here's the double block. I am definitely just doing 3 damage to the Cutthroat. I don't want to let them ramp up mana at all this game. It just seems like a very powerful effect, so anytime I can avoid killing the Raptors, I will. And that was a situation where I could do that. Next turn, however, they might be able to just chump block with the 2/3 and go from there. We'll have to see what they get here. If they get a strong enough creature, I'm just not going to attack. Alright, yeah, that looks like a situation where I'm not going to end up attacking. And since I'm not going to attack, I think I'm actually just going to sack the Menace creature. Maybe I just sack the 4/4. I don't think I want to take the 5 because that speeds up how fast I die. I'll die in 3 turns if I take the damage right now. I'll die in 4 turns if I don't. So I think I'd rather sack a creature. The question is the 4/4, the 3/2 Menace. I guess if I sack the 4/4, if they attack with all their creatures and just leave the Raptors back, I can do some damage to them. I feel like the 4/4 is probably going to be better long game, though, because I'm probably going to need to start blocking anything I can if they get any aggressive ground creatures. Alright, so we are definitely going for a 6 mana card here, hoping not to get the Demon Lord. We get a 5/4 when it's dealt damage does 3 to our opponent. That's not terrible. Their largest creature has 5 toughness, so that can attack in and at least kill something. So at 7 mana, there are a decent number of answers to hopefully get us out of here. Oh god! Alright, we're going to need a really good answer at 7 mana. That is an 8/8 trample that gives the rest of their team a trample. So if I give them their land now, they're going to have a land on the field. They'll have 7 total. They play land and they start playing 8 mana cards. That's pretty bad. It's also pretty bad to just take the damage. If I block like that, I do 3 damage to them right now. They go to 8 life. I attack with both of these. The lowest amount of damage they can take is 5. So they go to 3 life. I actually like that block. I think that's worth putting them up to 8 mana. Because this puts them down to 5 life if I attack here. Or no, it puts them down to 3 life. Because if they block the 4/4, they take 5, go down to 3. If they block this, they take 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I get a haste creature here, I just win the game. And there are haste creatures at 7 mana. There's stuff like Derrygaz. Just some angry dragons, pretty much, are the 7 mana haste cards. Oops. Wrong mana cost. We're going for 7. Let's see what we get. Kazarov, that's really good. I am going to send in. I will sack a creature here to put them down to 3 life. Because then, if damage is dealt to Suncrown Hunters, I win the game. And I can use Kazarov to do the damage to the Suncrown Hunters. So even if they have a bunch of blockers up, they'll die next turn. The problem is here, I'm going to have to block something to not die. But Kazarov will be a 5/5, so I guess I can block there. And then we attack with Suncrown Hunters. So unfortunately, if my opponent gets a haste creature, I lose. But if they don't, then I win. That's what's happening here. Unfortunately, Kazarov doesn't get the counter for any creature dealt damage. He only gets the counter if my opponent's creatures are dealt damage. So he is not big enough to block their dragon and survive. So goodbye, Kazarov. They did get a really nice 8-mana card, but fortunately the Suncrown Hunters is going to end the game here with 3 damage to their face. Very close game. Opponent had some really good cards there. But I think we got some pretty good cards as well. And we played to our outs. We went for the very aggressive attack there, sacking a creature to get them down to 3 life. They might have actually been safer killing off the thing that does 3 damage and going to 1 life instead. Because being at 3 life with a creature on board that does 3 damage to you whenever you take damage is a really risky spot. And Kazarov was a really good card to get, but Kazarov could have actually just been anything. Anything with high enough toughness for me to not die to trample immediately. Alright, so this is our first opponent that has not immediately played a 1-mana card. They're not playing a 2-mana card either. They want this to go to the late game. Well, I'm going to play a 2-mana card. Because I don't want to be playing a Zakama v Zakama game. That is super boring. Deep Root Champion. That is a 2-mana 1/1. Not the best 2-mana card. Not sure if I have to say that, but I will, just in case anyone thought that was something awesome. That is a 2-mana 1/1. So not particularly. Generous Stray's nice. I basically get the 1/2 for free, so that's okay. It'll be a chump blocker late game that we didn't have to spend a card to get. Unfortunately, I have a 2-mana card and a 3-mana card, and even with both of their forces combined, I cannot block a 3/3. So not the greatest start, power and toughness-wise, for sure. And my opponent got a 3/3 flyer as their 4-mana card, so that's very nice. Evasive creatures are great in this format. And what is this? Oh, it's a Lenda. Whenever another creature dies, she gets a +1/+1 counter. And when she dies, I get vampires equal to her power. Interesting. I don't think that's going to be incredible here, but it gives me a lot of chump blocks on the ground, at the very least. Ooh, yeah. This is the problem with getting a Lenda right now. Is my opponent can just not attack with ground creatures ever, and I'm in a really good spot if... Or, I'm in a really bad spot if they just keep attacking me in the sky. I'm actually surprised that they chose to just attack with the ground creature there. Because that lets me get counters on a Lenda and maybe gain some more life and try to get out of this life hole that these flyers are putting me in. Alright, a 3/4 flyer is actually perfect. That can block either of their flyers without dying. That is exactly what I needed. So I'm very happy about that. Excuse me. Opponent gets a 5/4 on the ground. Not the best right now. Ground creatures are not exactly gonna win this game, because I have a field that's very good at chump blocking. I get to chump block with Generous Stray, and then when I'm out of chump blockers, I can chump block with Alenda and make more chump blockers. Just a bunch of little tiny dudes. Alright, I'm not in like an incredible spot here, so I am going to play the 6-mana card, just hope not to hit Bells and Lock. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life and draw a card. Well, this Alenda is going to be insane. So when she dies, I will get 3 1/1 vampires with a lifelink. I will gain 3 life, and draw 3 cards. That seems ridiculous. That is only if the Generous Stray dies first. But I don't think it's worth attacking with the Generous Stray here, for I do still want to save him as a chump blocker. Or save it. I do not know the gender of this cat. I definitely hope that they attack here, so I get some use out of the chump blocker. So a 5/5 flyer is a pretty big threat. Looks like no attacks. I might just send in the Stray. We'll have to see what we get. They might not even block it if I send in the Stray, though, because I do really need more counters on Alenda. Siege Worm, 5/5 trample. I'm going to start taking 5 a turn in the air. That is definitely not good. Alright, so this might be a weird game here. I might have to start attacking with my Generous Stray and Alenda, and we basically pretend that they're unblockable, because I just get a lot of value if those die. Ooh, wow. 8/8. Slin Voda at 8 mana here for our opponent. That is, as I was saying before, how the 8 drops tend to be. You either get something really good like Verdant Force, or you just get a big, dumb dork, like an 8/8. Verdant Force would be actually nuts for me. Because if I get a Verdant Force, I gain a life and draw a card every time, like every upkeep, when I'm making Saplings. So I think we're just going to go for 8 drops here. We really want to get one soon, or I will die to these flyers. Send in the Generous Stray. If I send in Alenda and she gets blocked, I get 2 1/1s, and I gain 2 life and draw a card. I guess I draw 2 cards. I don't really want to send Alenda in still. I guess I get 2 life if she blocks, or if my opponent blocks, or if they don't block, because she has lifelink as well. So I might have to start doing that just to not die. Let's see, I can block there. I'll take 7 next turn. That's lethal. I guess I could chump block that. I don't want to chump block yet, though. Alright. If I go for a 9 mana card, I'm going for the 33% chance at Zakama. If I go for a 8 mana card, there's... let's see, how many flyers are at 8 mana? At 8 mana, there's like an 18% chance of flying. There's Zatalpa. Yeah, there's just Zatalpa, but there's only like... wait, no, there's Zatalpa and Flight of Equinox? I think I'm gonna go 8 mana. Because Arboretum Elemental, the 7/5 hexproof, and the Molder Hulk, the 6/6 that returns to land, are both awful right now. They just do, like, nothing. I guess there's more stuff that does nothing at 8 mana, though, right? I guess I have the hourglasses to look up what cards there are. So at 8 mana, we have Gate Colossus, Gishath, Verdant Force, Polyraptor, Endrace Foreigners, Ancient Brunodon, Torgar, Slin Voda, Zatalpa, Awakening Suns. There are 2 cards at 8 mana that I care about. Alright, 33% chance is a higher chance than 2 out of, like, 10. So we actually just go for the 9 mana card and really hope for Zakama. That is Arboretum Elemental. That is not what I want right now. I'm gonna just attack with the Alenda and gain some life here, I think. Well, Alenda stops them from attacking with all their big dorks as well. So I attack here. I chump block the 5 and I take 6. I gotta attack with Alenda. That way I don't have to chump block. I probably should just not attacked with the Generous Stray if I'm attacking with Elenda. Oh, wow. They just let her through. Alright. Yeah, I do think I shouldn't have attacked with Generous Stray, because now they're a lot more likely to attack with their ground guys. Opponent does get a Gishath, 7/6 of Vigilance Trample Haste. I might just be dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attackers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blockers. I think I am just dead. Because Gishath has Trample? I haven't done the math here. If I'm not dead, then Elenda's going to be massive, and she's going to gain me a lot of life. I actually don't think I'm dead, because I can block the Trample with the 7. Ooh. Ooh. Opponent's going for it. If they're wrong, this could be really good. However, this does just prove that the attack with the Generous Stray was very bad. And this is what I was talking about, like I said earlier, where there is a lot of strategy. As much luck as there is in Momir, there's a lot of strategy. And I definitely misplayed on the strategy side with that attack with Generous Stray. Really hope they go through with this, because I think I could make this end really well for me. Oh wait, no, I can't. I only have 1 flying blocker. This can't end well for me. So I take the 6 in the air and I block everything else, I guess? So we go like that. We go... block all the trample. We go like that. Like that. Like that? Yeah, I don't have enough blockers. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 5 blockers to their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attackers. So I have to let in way too much damage. Oh, wow. Yeah, if I left the Generous Stray, I could have survived that turn, definitely. At the very least. I do think I was probably still in a losing position, but it would give me one more chance to hit Zakama. So if I left Generous Stray back to block, yeah, I would have definitely survived that turn, because I could have blocked the 5 power creature that they had. So that was not the best. Not the best choice from me last game. Alright, here we go. Starting off at 2 mana. What do we get? Spin the Wheel of Fate. A 2/3 that cannot attack. So a 2/3 with Defender, unless I get a random artifact creature later, or a creature that makes a treasure token. But most likely, just a 2/3 Defender. Which is not very good. It's also not terrible. It's definitely not as bad as a Runaway Steamkin, which is just a 2 mana 1/1 that does not do anything. So, opponent got some poor luck as well. Our 3-drop is a 3/2. When it dies, put a counter on a creature we control. That seems pretty good. A lot of 3-drops would just be like a 3 mana 3/2 with no abilities, so just that little bit of upside I think makes it pretty good. It's definitely a lot better if we get anything with any kind of unblock ability, something with menace, flying, unblockable, anything like that. We would love to throw the +1/+1 counter onto something like that. See what we get. For mana, we get a 0/8 trample, so we have the blocks set up. I am not going to attack here. If I attack, I trade for their 2/2, and then I make my 0/8 a 1/9, or I make my 2/3 defender a 3/4. We have a team of ultimate blockers over here, so this game might take a while. Opponent gets a 5/5. That is quite a good attacker, but a 0/8 can block it, so does not change much of anything here. Looks like we're still just staring at each other, seeing who's the first one to get an evasive creature, basically. Fire Fist Adept. It's going to do 1 to a creature for each wizard I control. I have 1 wizard, so I'll do 1 damage to their 1/1. So, not the worst. It is only a 3/3. But that seems fine. Now, if I attack with the Spinal Centipede, if I get them to kill the vampire, then their Horncrest can't attack or block. But they're probably going to hit an okay creature next turn to make sure the Horncrest can still attack or block. They do hit a 4/4 that can block an additional creature each combat, so looks like we're right back to the blocking game. We're going to go ahead and play a Swamp so we can play exact Demon Lord Bells and Luck mana and see if he will grace us with his presence. Just a 6/6 Trample. That's not the worst, but it's not that impressive right now. It's basically just going to trade for their 5/5 or their 4/4, because they can double block with those. For 6 mana, opponent gets Riddlemaster Sphinx, which is easily one of the best cards in the game. It is a 5/5 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, destroy any creature. So when it enters the battlefield, they return a creature an opponent controls to their owner's hand. But because these are all creature tokens and not actual cards, if you return one of these to your hand, it is just dead. So Riddlemaster Sphinx is an incredible card, and it's going to be pretty hard to come back from that unless we get something even better. I would not say that Chromium is better than Riddlemaster Sphinx, but on board, it is better. It is a 7/7 flyer versus their 5/5 flyer, so now we are at the advantage. Difference is, ours did not get to just kill whatever we want when it enters the battlefield. So that's why I would say Riddlemaster is a bit better. But it is certainly not better on board, so we definitely have board advantage here. Can start getting in there with Chromium. Oh, no. Well, we might have just lost this game. So that is an Angler Turtle. It is a 5/7 with hexproof, and it forces all of your opponent's creatures to attack each combat if able. So now I have to send in all these little creatures into very unprofitable attacks. So now I'll send in the 0/8. They just get to kill it by double blocking it. They get to kill my 3/2 and my 3/3. So this is certainly not the greatest. So I could save this card in my hand to discard to Chromium just in case they hit another removal spell. I don't think that's super likely, though. I think I do really want to just hit another creature here. And going for a 7-mana creature, I could hit a Meteor Golem and maybe get their flyer out of the way or something good like that. Wrecking Beast? Would I rather just haste that out right now or just put the counter on it? If I haste that out, it's a 6/6. It's probably going to trade for one of their dudes. I think since I have to do like a really aggressive attack this turn anyway, I might as well make it as aggressive as possible. I guess putting the counter on the Wrecking Beast, though, does make sure that it has enough power that they can't just like block it with the Angler Turtle and something else. But they have so many choices with what to block here now. Yeah, I think I probably should just put the counter on the Wrecking Beast thing. But it's still, no matter what, it's killing something. If it's dying. That is another one of the situations in Momir where you're given actual skill-based decisions, and I decided to just go at them, just angrily bash their face. Which definitely looks like it is not going to turn out super well here. So yeah, we're going to kill the Ceratops. So we're killing the Ceratops, doing 7 damage to our opponent. opponent is down to 13, and we get to put a counter on the Spinal Centipede, or on the Spinal Centipede, on the Chromium. So now we have an 8/8 flyer, but our opponent has a really aggressive field as well. They have 17 power. To see what they choose to do here. Verdant Force is so good! Alright. This is pretty bad. Opponent went incredible 6-drop, incredible 7-drop, incredible 8-drop. Don't think there's much we can do to get out of this one. I'm gonna have to chump block. We wouldn't have been in as bad of a position had I just put a +1/+1 counter onto my Wrecking Beast. We definitely could block something there. But regardless... Yep, regardless, my opponent has just hit cards that are too powerful to deal with. So yeah, if we had the Wrecking Beast out, if we had Wrecking Beast out, opponent would probably just not attack with Riddlemaster Sphinx. I guess we could have had a very, very slight chance of winning had we kept the Wrecking Beast. Like a very slight chance. Opponent would have had to attack with their Riddlemaster Sphinx. So that I could hit them down to 5 with Chromium still, and I would have had to hit that Thorn Elemental that I just hit. So yeah, I do think the counter on the Wrecking Beast was definitely a better play. That was certainly another misplay there. But both of our misplays did come in games that we were firmly losing, regardless. So don't have to feel too terrible about that. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Let's go ahead and see what we get as our awards here. Just uncommons, that kind of sucks. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I will definitely be back again every day until War of the Spark is back with more Momir's Madness. Gonna be playing a whole lot of this format. In fact, gonna be playing so much you could probably always find me streaming this on my Twitch channel as well. That's twitch.tv/GomletX. If you want to check that out, it's the same username as my YouTube channel. And I don't want to spam your guys' inboxes with a million Momir's Madness videos. I'm just going to be doing them daily. So every time that I want to play Momir's Madness, but I've already uploaded a video that day, I will be streaming Momir's Madness on my Twitch channel. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again very soon for more Magic Arena.